Chair, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ask for a motion for the approval of the minutes of the March 20th meeting.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, no one. Motion carries unanimous. Public forum. Called to the podium Jillian Stanger, and her subject is talking about a bus. Remind the general public, as you come up for public forum, there will be no use of any specific personnel names or any specific students. Yes. You have 3 minutes. Thank you. Thanks. Welcome.
Right here. Hi. I came here tonight because some of you may or may not know we've had some problems on the Dinosaur bus route. I live in Cragsmore, and for the last year and a half, most of the parents at some point have made a complaint, whether it be to administration down in the elementary or in the middle school, high school, the bus company. They have tried to reach out to different places to make complaints. I don't know if we're doing something wrong, but in this last year and a half, I feel like with the amount of complaints that we've made, the most recent incident that happened last week should have never happened. Something should have been done before then. So I'm here tonight to find out, like, how do we prevent that happening again? If there is an issue where there is multiple parents having a problem where when we make a complaint, we're told, oh, well, your kids are lying. That didn't happen. You know, they're not believing the parents or the kids about situations that have happened, and we're just being dismissed. I don't know if you're gonna have an answer for me tonight or not,
Yeah, if you
but I wanted to bring this to you guys because I feel I don't want this to happen again.
I will redirect your concerns right now and have Mrs. Superintendent Wiles answer your question.
So the latest issue that was on the bus was referred to my office. That parent called my office.
Right.
We did an investigation, and there have been some results of that I can't share right now, but there's some, your point's well taken. I think I would tell any parent or any community member that if they go through the chain of command in the building, they feel like they went to the bus company and they didn't get the answers that they needed or wanted. They can go to the building principals. If the building principals don't provide, we have a chain of command where you can go up. So I would encourage you that if there's ever an incident that you feel it's not being handled in the building, that you call my office directly.
Mm-hmm.
This parent did and made aware of it, and I've been in contact with that parent. If you have any other information you want to share, call my office tomorrow.
Okay.
I have spoken to a few parents on that bus, and Mr. Napoli is working with the transportation company. So I would encourage any parent, if they are not satisfied with an answer that they're getting, I'd ask that you go through the proper chain of command, but if you get totally frustrated, my door is always open, and you can always call me.
Okay, I appreciate that. I don't know if there's a way to change the initial response of when we're calling with a concern from any point, through that chain of command, that they're just directing oh, well, your kid's not telling the truth.
Well, then I think
that shouldn't be an initial response from any
I
authority down.
totally agree with you, but sometimes I don't know that that's happening. So if you feel that frustrated and you're just very uncomfortable, you call the superintendent, call our office,
Okay,
and we will get involved with it for sure.
okay. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Call to the podium, Michael Ballantyne, speak about the budget.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to come to the meetings. I've been really busy during the budget workshops, which I wish I would have. And for the most part, you know, there are a number of very few items that are really questionable to me as far as increases. The one that really strikes out is, you know, an increase of about $830,000 dollars for special education, both BOCES and non-BOCES, which was probably the most significant change in the budget. But I know today you acknowledge the budget detail report for February, and I was a little concerned about what our fund balances are. And I know, you know, you have worked into the budget what your anticipated fund balance is, and the 4% that you legally can hold back, and the rest that you are returning to reduce the tax levy. And in your budget workshops, that's a significant amount of money. I mean, it's like 10.9% of the current budget is surplus, a fund balance, unexpended money. And I know you always need a little bit of a buffer, but, you know, $5.6 million that was budgeted in the current year beyond what your expenses were to operate the school. And I believe that even though you're looking at in the last, and it's been for a number of years like this, even though you're looking at what's within the tax cap and a relatively low increase in the tax levy, I don't think there should be any increase in the tax levy or the budget this year. I think that $1.2 million increase in the budget, if you reduced your expenditure, your budget, and left it flat where it was last year, there would be a tax decrease this current year, and you still would have a significant fund balance going forward next year. I mean, if your child came up and says, "Hey, Dad, can I have 25 bucks? I'm going out." You say, "Sure, okay, here's your 25 bucks." Not that I ever had that situation. And they bring back $1, and they don't spend the 25. And the next time they want to go out, they say, "Hey, Dad, I need 50 cents more." Because, you know, prices go up a little bit. And then they come back and they give you $1 change again. And the next time they ask for 25.60. And then in that time, they don't bring any change back. Because you gave them the money and they felt that they could spend the money. And that's what can happen when we have that. Whether that fund balance exists in salaries or other 400 codes. And we had that when I was on the board. We kept on beefing up, padding the budget, and we're increasing more than we're actually expending. And I was given a million reasons why we did that in the past. But if we want to look at a building referendum going forward, to have a tax decrease maybe in 1 year, and that same year ask the voters to approve a building referendum, it might be a lot more doable, easy to swallow for most of the taxpayers. I did notice in the budget we have very little money to do anything about grounds or improve our maintenance of our buildings. That budget, buildings and grounds budget, is pretty flat. And that's a place where we needed to maybe add a little bit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ballantyne. You want to address it?
Yep, I'd just like
If
to
you
let-
hang on, I'm going to have Ms.
I'd like
Wiles
to just
address it.
address a couple of issues. So the Board of Education over the last 5 to 10 years have been working diligently, you know, to look at the budget. We're working with a financial consultant, Dr. Rick Timms. When the comptroller did their audit, we were cited for our fund balance and our reserves. We have been, if you look at the 5-year trend, we've been decreasing the reserves and giving money back. The other part of the budget that's we've been very diligent on the last 3 years is right-sizing the number of the budget. When you look at the revenue numbers, we broke them out a little differently this year. There's 2 different funds. You have the general fund and the federal fund. When we put up the vote, we put up the vote total for the total amount of spending, including the title monies, which have significantly decreased the revenues. So I understand where you're saying that the budgeted expenditures versus the actual expenditures, there's been a variance. I think that if you look at the 5-year trend, you'll see that those numbers are becoming closer and closer together, which has been the advice that we've gotten, not to do it all in 1 year. If you actually look at the audits and you look at the amount of revenues that have come in versus the amount of expenditures that have gone out, actually this year we have a significant operating deficit, which was projected. I think that, or we know that the fluctuations in state aid from the state and not being able to count on exactly what you're going to get is significant. Your point is well taken about the increase in special education costs here. We've had an influx of students from other districts move in that have placements that we are mandated to carry forward. We budget, when we prepare our budget, it's based on the estimates today, but we know as a district, those estimates change dramatically over the course of a year. So I can assure you, Mr. Ballantyne, based on our audits and other things, we are looking at all of our numbers and trying to right-size whenever we can. There's some things that are out of the control of the district, like special ed placements that have increased increased over the years, but we have responsibility to provide those services to the students. We are always advocating. We had the Alliance for Quality Education down here. We had 2 senators, Senator Metzger from our area and also Senator Jackson, walk through our schools. And I understand the tax. We would always like to decrease taxes, and we've kept it below the tax levy. As a matter of fact, over the last 20 years, we've even had years where we've had 0 tax increase. I think when we plan today, we have to plan for the future, and to give back money and then not be able to meet our obligations a few years down the line, we would not be responsible. That's why we're working with a planner and doing the best projections we can moving forward.
I'm just looking at what you submitted.
Right, so-
And when we have
I
a
understand
fund
that.
balance.
So what I would love for you to do is come down as you have before.
Yep.
Sit down with Mr. Napoli. He can show you the 5-year plan and where we are. We're very cognizant of our balances and where we're going to be, and that we don't run out of fund balance, and we can plan so that we don't have to take another
But
hit on our
reducing it by
programs.
10% is not a
Well,
significant.
I think you should see what we've been doing, because I think if you look at it with Mr. Napoli, I think you'll see that we have been on that trajectory.
Mr. Valentine, could I ask you to come in and meet with Mr. Napoli?
We would really appreciate it.
I mean, it's just the details that were provided in any of the documents. I mean, there aren't, staffing numbers, there aren't class sizes, there aren't, how much we're expending in enrichment programs and music and art. There's very little detail other than numbers for a community member to know.
And that's why I would,
what we're spending our money on.
that's what I would ask you to come in and sit down with Mr. Napoli, with all your
I
questions.
mean, I'm talking for everybody, not
Yeah,
just
and
myself.
look, we always take input, so if you provide something and you see something we could do better, we're always we are always trying to be more transparent and to put things out. So we welcome your input. If you can meet with Vince, he can definitely share with you what we're doing.
Thank you, Mr. Valentine. Jane Eck, talk about the building.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here about 2 things. First of all, I received the newsletter from the school maybe about 10 days ago. I'm very surprised that there's nothing in it about the renovations for these 3 buildings. And I feel the more we delay, the more the expense is going to be. It's going to go up and up And it's the same way Mr. Valentine was just talking about your budget. We have to realize with the budget that special ed, there's state mandates that the school board has to meet. With expense, there's also expense of fuel, electric. These are things that I have at home, and that expense does not stay the same in my budget every year when I do my budget in January for the whole year with my retirement monies and my Social Security. So that is a problem, but my main concern is the renovations that need to be done on these buildings. It's not gonna get better, it's gonna get worse, and the expense is gonna be greater. My other comment today is, I had a wonderful Saturday, late Saturday afternoon, early Saturday evening. The Ulster County Community College held the all-county chorus. It was absolutely spectacular, that's all I can tell you. From the elementary students that were there from all the schools, and I have a booklet for each board member, and it shows you the letter next to the students' names, what school they're from. When I say it was fabulous, they all had standing ovations. It was absolutely packed. There was only standing room to listen to all these students. The first ones that went were the elementary students, then there was middle school, and then there was high school. And when all I can say again, it was absolutely fabulous. And I hope this board remember my request to send these music teachers commendations of a great, great job they do. Thank you.
Mrs. Eck, if you wait, I'm going to have Mrs. Wiles answer your questions.
So with regard to the capital project and the repairs and construction items, so we haven't forgotten about it. The last few months, we've been focused on budget, and now that we're finalizing that, what we're going to be doing is moving forward with revamping the numbers that we had and really prioritizing. We've been in touch with our financial planner to try to hone in on aidable and non-aidable expenses. And I would say probably April, May, moving into June, we'll be revising our numbers, taking the input that we got from the exit poll from the last referendum and putting something together. So I want to assure you that we're not ignoring it, and we know that the costs only increase. So we're going to start working on that in the we've been working on it internally on trying to flush out some numbers and priorities that'll be coming to the board very shortly.
And there are some spring concerts coming up,
Yes.
and I will be back to remind you.
So I do know that we do appreciate everything that our music and arts do, and we are trying to formulate other ways to recognize them. So that's in the works also.
Thank you, Mrs. Wiles. Thank you, Mrs. Eck. And thank you all who spoke here this evening. We'll move on to our presentations for this evening. I call upon Principal Carl Pabon for certificate recognition.
Can I just make a comment? Yeah.
Mrs. Wiles?
So, as Mr. Pabon and Mrs. White, our administrators from the high school, come up, I just want to make a comment. One of the initiatives of the board is to have more students here and recognize their accomplishments and things that are going on. So tonight, we're focusing on 3 students that are in our career and tech programs, and 2 students that have attended the Puerto Rican Hispanic Youth Leadership Institute. And we have some certificates, one that has to be modified, but go ahead, Mr. Pabon.
Excuse me. Good evening, everyone. I'm extremely proud to be here this evening looking at not just our future, but our present future. It is my honor to recognize several of these students, and I'm going to ask them all to come up front. And as they make their way up to right here to the podium, we have Henry Spencer, who's enrolled in our Cisco networking program. In addition, we have Mr. Michael James Shorter, who's part of our New Visions education program. And not here this evening is Alina Lewis, who's also part of the nursing assistant program. who cannot be with us this evening. In addition, we have our two young ladies who also participated in the Youth Leadership Institute, as mentioned by our superintendent. So I'll begin with Mr. Henry Spencer, and then we'll hand the mic over to him. When we went to school, when we talked about a language other than English, we usually thought it was either Latin, Spanish, French. But living in the 21st century, and for us folks within our age range, just understand we're the last pre-internet generation. That's it. Once we're gone, that's it. This crop right here of our young adults know this new language, and specifically Henry Spencer is a young man that is aspiring not only to be a network, Cisco network certified individual, but also an entrepreneur with aspirations to going back to the island of Jamaica and assisting with their upgrade, which is something to be admired. So first of all, prior to giving him the microphone, and if the board members would like to ask any questions, I would just like to give him a round of applause.
Anybody have any questions from the board? No? Okay. No.
Hello, my name is Henry L. Spencer. I go to the Career and Tech Educational Center at Osterbozy Sport U in Broadway Street. I'm currently enrolled in the Cisco Networking and Computer Repair program, and we learned about different things about how a network works, how to curate certain things like firewalls, network, what basically runs this whole school, and overall the program is really good to be learning. Currently today we've been learning about how to operate a DMC and how to configure it.
Mr. President, if I may.
Yes.
Hello, Henry. How are you?
I'm all right, sir.
What grade are you in, Henry?
I am currently a junior. I'm in, I said 11th grade.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
So, yeah, I'm in 11th grade. 11th grade.
And Henry, as you complete the course, when you complete the course next year, will you graduate with a certificate in Cisco networking?
Well, it's really, it depends on really specific things, like Cisco have different certifications that I can complete, and at this moment I currently have my Network Pro, an equivalent to CompTIA's Network Plus, which I'm actually thinking of taking it in the summer. Also, I'm going to get my Security Pro and eventually getting my Security Plus.
Thank you, Henry.
Well,
That's a new language, folks, that he just shared with you. All right. Congratulations, Henry. At this time, I want you to look at this young man, Mr. Michael James Shorter, a senior, part of our Section 9 basketball champion team. In addition, look at him real good, because he's going into the world of education, future teacher. He's currently in our New Visions program for educators, and in addition to that, he's a terrific human being, an intelligent, hardworking human being, a young man with integrity and character, and we know that as we look at society, sometimes that's lacking, and to see a young man with this maturity at this age makes us feel good about the future. And we're proud of him. We hope that we bring him back to Ellenville once he graduates with his master's and doctorates in education. And at this time, we would like to welcome Michael James Shorter.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Shorter James. This is my senior year in Ellenville High School. And this year I'm attending New Visions education program. Basically, this program is preparing you to become a teacher, to become an educator. It's really hard work, but everything in life requires hard work. So basically what I'm learning is a lot of leadership skills, and just how to become a role model for all of my students. And really, this program is just a really great program. I'm glad I took the opportunity to take it. And I look to continue with it in my college year, using these skills that I learned in the education program and apply it. Coming back to Ellenville. And really, I just want to make a difference in students' lives, really. A lot of kids need this nowadays, so that's what I'm looking forward to, man. That's it.
So, Mr. Shorter, I know that you have a role model that has guided you over the years.
Two.
Actually, two of them are there, and I know one of them very well, Miss Debbie Shorter. And I'm sure that she has given you some inspiration, she has been a role model to this district, and so have all the people in your lives, I'm sure. And I just want to say thank you, Ms. Shorter, and the Shorters out there for being an inspiration in this young man's life. We can't wait to have you back here teaching. Have you found the program to be very tough, the requirements?
Really, the requirements is just you gotta be dedicated, focused, motivated. Just perseverance is key. You know, it's a lot of hard work. The classes, you know, I take honors English too. I'm in the education class, participation in government / economics, and you know, sometimes it could be a lot of hard work, but when I look at the benefits, I look at the future, it's all gonna be worth it. So. That's
How
my
many
focus.
times has Mrs. Debbie Shorter put you in a corner for not listening? Put you in a corner, timeout? Thank you.
So,
And we
if I
welcome,
may,
and we
Mr.
welcome you,
President.
and we wish you the best of luck. We're
Thank
very
you.
proud of you.
Mr.
Willard?
If I may, Michael, congratulations and thank you
Thank you.
for coming also. Can you talk specifically, do you go out to Port Ewing or other
Yes.
satellite locations in order to attend the CT or the New Visions program?
Yes. So,
How do you handle the commute, Michael? Do you drive yourself? And,
No, I take transportation, a bus.
okay,
Yeah, so that's how that works. Basically, when we get to the program, because I also take internship classes. So basically, when we get to the program, on our daily days, Monday, Tuesdays, not Wednesdays, Thursdays, we go to something called internship. And basically, we attend the career in BOCES Technical Center. We go there first,
sure.
check in with the teacher. Then we leave. There's a bus outside waiting for us that's going to take us to this place called George Washington. It's over in Kingston, and it's a Montessori school.
Okay.
And basically, we are assigned to different classes, whether it's special ed, first, second, third, all in one room. It's just all different types of classes in that one room. It's just a great learning experience.
Sure. Michael, is the New Visions program in general, and I know you're only in one, so I'm going to ask you a loaded question. Is it something that you would find beneficial to most of your classmates here at Ellenville?
Yes, definitely. If they look to attend college and look to amount to something, yeah, definitely. This teaches you leadership skills. It's not just about what's in the classroom. It teaches you about what to teach to the world, you know.
Sure.
And really, I recommend it to a lot of students.
I agree with you. Thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. John?
Congratulations, Michael. I'm sure you know through your sports and your classes in school, we have a lot of people on our staff that went to school in Ellenville. And as a school district, there can be no greater compliment than to have one of your own come back. And so I just think this is a tremendous tribute for you, your family, your teachers, and your administrators. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. And again, and Mr. Spencer as well, what a credit both of you and all of you here are today to this district and to your parents and to this community. The fact that you want to go back to Jamaica and to spread the word over there and to teach people in that country to be more proficient in the chosen path that you've created for yourself is certainly a credit to your parents. And I see them both. I know I know them both there, so I'll say hello to them from here. But really, congratulations. I know the board echoes that sentiment. Congratulations, both of you. All of you are a credit to this district, as I said. Thank you.
Congratulations, Michael. This time I have two young ladies, Vanelise Malave and Sasha Calderon. Get closer to the podium because the microphone is coming your way. These two young ladies participated in a mock assembly in Albany several weeks ago. They had an opportunity to present on several topics. Vanelise was also chosen out of the Hudson Valley Delegate as someone who will be traveling now to Washington, D.C. in the summer due to her presentation and her work ethic as well. But at this time, let me just speak again. We talk about good students, and we also talk about good human beings. And these two young ladies, along with Michael, and I know also with Henry, are young people of character. And I keep emphasizing that because we see the challenges of character that's going on through our society. And so I want to highlight that about Vanelise and Sasha. And they'll share, some of their experiences, what they did in Albany, what they presented, how it was to present to the assembly there. And so at this time, we also want to welcome them with a round of applause as well.
Hello. I'm Vanelise Malave, as he said, and basically, out of the students in Ellenville that are of Hispanic descent, we get a chance to apply to PRILI, which is Puerto Rican/Hispanic Youth Leadership Institute, and we apply with an essay, and we get chosen, and we go to several trainings, and out of those people chosen, they make basically another cut, and then those people get to go to Albany for the mock assembly. And the mock assembly is, for me at least, I can say that it was a very interesting experience, very eye-opening, very, I want to say, cool, awesome to see so many of your peers that can share their stories about immigration or laws they see that need to be changed or updated or just made. And yeah, it was a very cool experience. In the mock assembly, we debate on bills about immigration laws, adding immigration status as a hate crime, yeah. Other things ranging from like opioids to civil arrests, definitely a lot of current stuff that's going on right now. So I think PRILI gives us a very good opportunity to integrate into what's going on now because, as they said, we are the future and the present. So this program really helps us with that. And yeah, I hope to continue this in DC. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So there's 6 delegations, and from each delegation, they choose one student as an outstanding delegate. And I was chosen from the Hudson Valley delegation as the outstanding delegate. And we got invited to the Somos Uno dinner, and we got to meet a lot of important politicians, and we were also met on stage to receive an award for the outstanding delegate.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's the first time an Ellenville student has ever received that award.
Wow.
Hi, my name is Sasha Calderon, and I'm a junior. So this was my first time attending the PRILI Institute, and we would go once every month until February, where we'd go twice. And we talked about leadership skills, how to public speaking, stuff like that, how to debate bills and where to get our resources from. So we can have, once, if we get chosen to go up to Albany, debate those in front of everyone. And over 200 people were there, and I was one of the people chosen to debate about opioid addiction. So I told them that I wanted to debate during the caucus, and they said that we might not have time to debate because there was so many of us, and we only had 30 seconds to get our point across to get our debate in. So I was one of the few that was chosen, and it was a really good experience. There were so many people from so many different delegations and different schools that I had no idea existed, and they talked about their experiences at their schools and what they were going through. And I feel like our school is we're very blessed to have such a community that comes together and doesn't judge one another for their race or for how they express themselves. And I feel like that's what I learned going into there, and it was a good experience, and I hope to go again next year.
Also, most of our, or all of our trainings where we learned all those leadership skills happened at Vassar College, and we were able to meet a couple professors that teach there that they heard about Pryli and were surprised that young children were already debating or preparing for such amazing things. And we met a couple professors, and they just were impressed with us and just wanted to learn more.
So I got to tell you, you guys are styling like politicians over there. You know, you got the stance of a politician. I think that, and you speak like, and you speak. You got the confidence, and we really think that everything is working there. And I guess we'll be voting for you guys one day in the congressional district. But really, much credit to you, and we wish you all the best in your paths that you go on. And you make us proud. You make Ellenville proud. And certainly, it's great to see, you know, Hispanic culture be recognized, and also for you to get out there and spread the word and get more people involved and have a say. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
If I may, Mr. President, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. President. You know, I can't resist. I am also, just speaking personally, I'm very impressed by the two of you, for taking advantage of the opportunity to learn how to express your very unique perspective as young Hispanic women. What grade are you in? And I'm sorry, can you pronounce your name one more time? You said it a little fast, and I want to make sure I don't mispronounce your name.
Well, everyone calls me Vanelise because it's just easier to say. But I just told everyone to call me that. But my name is Vanelise Malave.
Vanelise.
Yeah,
Okay.
Annalise Mandeville.
So you are a junior?
a senior.
You're a senior, okay.
Yeah.
So how has your experience with Pryli then, for both, question is for both of you. You'll be returning to the district next year. Vanelise, you'll be moving on to whatever you choose to do. How will the experience of Pryli influence you moving into and on to the next phase, whether it be college or some other choice? And how do you see the experience of Pryli contributing to what you bring back to the district? And those are, I know those questions were long, but I think that you guys have answers.
Well, I started the program last year as a junior, and I hadn't heard about any program remotely close to what this was. So I entered very scared and just frightened about everything. But Pryli, that program focuses mainly on creating or giving you the skills to be a good leader and to mainly advocate for what you believe your community deserves and should have. So continuing on, I believe that I will carry that passion for advocating for our community on in my future endeavors.
So my cousins were previously in this institute, and they told me about it. So they told me to go. It's one of the best experiences you could have. So I was very excited. I was waiting till my junior year to finally apply because they told me how it was such a great experience for them, and they got to learn so many things going in there. So I went and I applied, and I was very excited that I got in. And going on with Vanelise says, I want to advocate for our school, for what our students need, because I feel like not many of our students are afraid to talk, and they believe that if they say something, then they'll immediately get shut down, but that's not the case if we don't try. So I feel like if we at least try and get something out there, then something can be done about our issues that we have, and if we bring it up.
Very good.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Anybody else?
Henry wants to say a few more words.
Please, Henry, come on up.
Sorry, I didn't know that I was supposed to stay on the side. I was very confused. I just want to say a few thanks to, like, mostly God for giving me ability to do these things and make these achievements, and also Ulster BOCES for giving me my space to achieve some of these things, and especially from the specific person, Ms. Sherber, who works there, who recommended the photographer to interview me, and also the board for somebody who to post it on Facebook and acknowledge everything. It's truly a blessing from you guys.
Thank you, Henry.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. You may be seated. And lastly, I just want to thank the superintendent and the entire board for never saying no to us when we ask about some funding for our student programs, for transportation, when we have an idea of offering new courses. All of you are always supportive, and we just want to say thank you, because this is a byproduct of that. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pavone.
We'll now go on to Ms. Angela Urbina Medina and Mr. Frank Mulhern and My Brother's Keepers program.
I'm really very quickly going to pass the microphone to Mr. Mulhern, who I'd like to ask to join me. We're going to provide you this evening with an update on some of the activities that have taken place under the My Brother's Keeper grant, our family and community engagement. You have a few documents there that we've provided for you that we're going to speak about in just a few moments. Frank?
So I think at this point in your board meeting, the best way to absorb some of this is to read it later. But what you have in front of you is a slice of what's happening. And the real statement behind that is there's a lot happening. We're actually only in our second year of the Family and Community Engagement Program under My Brother's Keeper. But we really have accelerated off of what we started last year. Last year was planting seeds. We had actually twice the money last year. The money we had last year was about $300,000. This year we operate with 150. And it's projected that next year it'll be 150, and after that we don't know if it will continue. But we have an answer for that by the time I'm finished talking here. But if you look, we have 17 programs that will operate this year. And our year, by the way, is September to August. And we have 10 major events that are occurring. I can't give you the number of students that are involved yet, but we're working on a mid-year report with the state, and I'll be happy to share that with all of you when that's complete over the course of the next few weeks. But in some districts, and you'll read about that in the paper, they focus purely on kids in high school. Great, we do too. But we think that if we're really planting seeds to close the achievement gap for kids who don't succeed with kids who do succeed, for kids who don't have as many resources as others, we have to invest from pre-K to 12 and after. So if you look at that sheet, I broke it out so that you can see the programs and events that are running in elementary school, middle school, high school, with parents and community, and some additional activities that we're doing across the board. On the back of that sheet gives you some of the numbers we're doing. So there are a lot of kids involved. In fact, there's some Circle of Courage kids here, and there's also some students who have been involved in our current program, Go Beyond Greatness, which, by the way, will be having a meet and greet with local businesses at Gabby's, where our students dress up and they get to meet business leaders in Ulster County. We did it last year at the Chateau in Kingston. We're doing it now at Gabby's, so we can get this part of the county represented too. So our students will be there going through a training with business leaders on how to meet and greet each other and what their businesses are about, what the kids' personal brands are about, what they're interested in.
And there are a couple of pictures. There are a couple of pictures from the event in Kingston in the newsletter on the back.
So we have some events going on. Last week, we were at the United Nations. We were at the headquarters for Uber. We were at a new company, relatively new company that focuses on black millennials called Blavity. And we went to the United Nations, which is a requirement we have in that program. Every single semester, we go to the United Nations. So kids are getting a lot of exposure. It's a college and career readiness program, but that's just one of them. We're operating Circle of Courage, helping kids to identify their strengths so that they can succeed in school. We have programs in the elementary school for teaching mindfulness. We hope to have training for faculty available on mindfulness. We'll be expanding, and I'll respond to Maud Bruce's statement in the paper about a month ago relative to training for staff on implicit bias. That's a commitment of ours. It is such a commitment that one of our teachers here, Mr. Eli Espinoza, is one of the higher-ranking state trainers now on implicit bias. That guy is teaching almost every weekend to public school teachers in New York City. We want to continue some of that right here. Anyway, there's so much to talk about. We could spend the whole night here. But what I want to focus in is future focus. When you're a retired administrator, you take on a role like this, you realize it's a 3-year grant. It has to have some perpetuity built in, some sustainability. So here's what we're looking at for next year. Research and data on student academic and behavioral success over time. We've got enough time to look at it and see what's happening. What is helping kids and what's not helping kids, or what kids still need to be helped. Establish an MBK community network. The third sheet of paper you have is a response to an appeal from New York State Ed. If our grant ended in August of 2020, what would we do? I've heard about grants before. Oh, we used to do that, but we don't have the money anymore. We're trying to embed some of the work that we're doing into existing structures, but we're also responding to State Ed's appeal for certain districts, any district, to become what they call an MBK community network. I saw it get done up in Monticello, and actually, the letter that you have is a letter of appeal signed both by our superintendent, Lisa Wiles, and the mayor of the village of Ellenville, Jeffrey Kaplan, making an appeal to start that process. Why are we doing it? We're doing it because we care about what we're doing for kids, and the purposes are still important. But secondly, we learned from the head of this project, one of the commissioners in State Ed, that some districts, there's only 37 districts in the state that have this money, but some districts didn't even spend their money. $6.2 million was returned last year unspent. Now, they don't want to give it back. That's Obama Foundation money, and it's New York State Ed money. So what they're doing is appealing for districts to step forward. I passed it by Angela. I spoke with our superintendent about it, and we think we should do it on principle alone, but also for the possibility that we could get more money as part of a continuing grant beyond 2020, August 2020. So that letter is included in here. I guess I would just end by saying that I love seeing what Mr. Bobone and Mrs. White just did with those fabulous students who are up here. I don't know all of them very well, but I've met them on different occasions. It is a pleasure to work in this district because of your commitment to kids. And I appreciate that fully. I appreciate the opportunity to participate in that. And I think my Brother's Keeper grant, family and community engagement, is one part of that. and we're going to do the best we can to get this together in a way that sustains itself and helps this district and these kids move forward. I'll leave you to some questions.
Any questions from the board? Mr. John?
Mr. Mulhern, thank you. I had the privilege of attending one of your events earlier in the school year. And we've been talking about what the state calls an absenteeism rate of chronic absenteeism. And I know you haven't expanded into the lower levels yet, but it's a big concern to all of us. And I'm wondering if you can talk to some of the kids that have come into your program, maybe had some spotty attendance records within the district, and maybe the effect that the program has had on them, recognizing the importance of coming to school and the opportunities that are offered. Have you experienced that?
Yes, to a degree. So it wasn't an initiative of MBK, Family and Community Engagement, to do that, but I can tell you now, and Mr. Babone, Mrs. White can tell you, we handpick the kids we put in certain programs based on their struggles in school. So if we see students who are absentee, missing assignments, late for class, we want them. We want to help them. There are a variety of reasons why kids wind up like that, and we're trying to analyze that through activity. Our activities take us to the homes of some of the families. And there, sometimes we find out they need help. So, yes, I think this grant, in some way, some of the work can help. But again, having done this with you in another district, you know that the reasons for absenteeism at the primary level is very unique and different from the middle school and high school. And you need to analyze that according to family needs and also the age of kids, the conditions that people are living with in terms of trying to get their kids through school. So we're grabbing at it. We're trying to help with that, but I know that the board is addressing that on a larger scale and hopefully with some data behind it, and that should help. And if there's anything through the grant we can help with, we're happy to step forward.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We are going to move on to reports and correspondence. I'd just like to say that while, you see the headlines and while there's some awful things that are printed, we have a lot going on in this district to be proud of, and this community to be proud of. You just saw 5 students here, multifaceted, attending multifaceted programs. They're going to come back to this district, hopefully, or wherever they go, and we're going to reap the rewards of it, and they're going to say they're from Ellenville with pride. And, you have the boys' basketball team, certain athletic programs that just have done a lot. They've been successful. You have the arts that have been successful, as you see in front of you. So there's a lot of things this district should be proud of and continue to be proud of, and it just hopefully will get the necessary media focus that we should have here, and really direct it on the positive things that are happening instead of some of the negative things that seem to take the headlines away from us. So we will continue, and I'm sure we got lots more in store with the kids. We got still several months left here before the end of the school year, and I think that it's very important for us to get the word out, be our own. I steal a term from Mrs. Ramirez, and to sell ourselves and to get us out there. And I don't even think we have to sell ourselves. We just have to promote it better, in that sense. So I look forward to the continued success of this district. Anybody else? Any other board members? No? Okay, we will move on to, our student representative is not here. Then we'll move on to the superintendent.
So just a couple of things. The walkthrough at the elementary school of our fall and winter athletes that have really exceeded expectations, that is going to be happening on April 12th. The date was postponed, 9:30 in the morning. Just let us know if you're going to be here. The last thing I just want to report on is that Mr. Pabon and Mrs. Urbina Medina and I had a great opportunity to visit the Newburgh Free Academy on, I think it was last Wednesday or Thursday. And we visited their P-TECH program. And it was an excellent visit. We had discussions with many of the students that are participating there and the administrator of the program and also teachers of the program. And right now we are in the process of working with Ulster County BOCES, Dr. Corey, and the grant writer, and we are going to be applying for a grant to possibly implement a school within a school here for a P-TECH program. So we were very impressed with the program. There's a lot of technology, there's a lot of integration. The students that have entered into that program were very honest with their journey and how they got to P-TECH, some of the struggles that they had in middle school and how the programs really helped them. One of the things we really took away is how engaged they are in their own communities. Even though they're in their school and in a separate program, they still have the opportunity to participate in sports and other club activities. And it was really, it was very inspiring, and we're looking forward to seeing if we can secure some revenue to see if there's something we can do in our district. And while we're smaller than Newburgh, it's definitely a possibility. So we're working closely with their administrators and the grant writer, and we'll have more information as it unravels.
Thank you. Assistant Superintendent for Business, Mr.
Can I ask a
Napoli.
question, Lisa? Would you talk about possibly bringing some aspects of the P-TECH program here? And if we did that, could we allow students, can we collaborate with other districts?
Yes.
As we've talked about, so that, because we are a small district, maybe bringing other kids in?
That did come up, possibly some neighboring school districts that have an interest in P-TECH, coming here and then spending the tuition with us, so that is definitely a possibility.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Napoli.
Nothing to report tonight other than what's in my report. If any questions about the utility bills, I'll be happy to entertain them.
Thank you. Deputy Superintendent, Ms. Angela Urbina Medina.
Just a reminder that New York State testing, ELA testing is coming first week of April. Parents, make sure that the students get to school, participate in the New York State testing, grades 3 through 5, 6 through 8. 6 through 8, students are taking the test computer-based. So come on down, nothing to be afraid of. 2 days, lots of improvements made in the tests, so please join us.
Thank you. We'll move on to personnel resolutions for this evening. 6.1 under fall coaches. Upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, be resolved that the following coaches for fall be approved as indicated for the 19-20
Motion to approve the
school
list
years.
as presented.
List has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one. Motion carries unanimous. 6.2, High School Extended Day Program. Upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, be it resolved that the High School Extended Day Program personnel be approved at a rate of $42 per hour worked for the 18-19 school year.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one. Motion carries unanimous. 6.3, resignation. Upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, be it resolved that the resignation of Gerardo Martinez as varsity girls track assistant coach be accepted effective immediately.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one. Motion carries unanimous. 6.4, upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, be it resolved the memorandum of agreement between the Ellenville Central School District and the ETSRPA Teachers Unit be approved as attached. It's number 1819-6. It's been moved, seconded, discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? No one. Motion carries unanimous. 6.5, memorandum of agreement. Upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, be it resolved that the memorandum of agreement between the Ellenville Central School District and the ETSRPA SRP unit be approved as attached, number 1819-4.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one. Motion carries unanimous. We go on to budget resolutions under Article 7.
Motion to move 7.1 and 7.2.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one. Motion carries unanimous. Under 8, 8.1, student IEPs. Be resolved the attached list of student IEPs be acknowledged as appropriate. There are 16.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one. Motion carries unanimous. Under construction,
Motion to move 9.1 and 9.2.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded. Under construction, any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one. Motion carries unanimous. Under other, 10.1, be it resolved that the Board of Education adopt a district-wide safety plan as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one. Motion carries unanimous. 10.2, accessed items. Be it resolved, the following items be accessed. Any motion?
So moved. Second.
It's pallets and plastic pallets. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on it?
I'm just curious, Vince, pallets, what were they used for?
So I bought them when we did the renovation or reconstruction of the elementary school over the last couple summers. They actually fit through the doorways, and they were plastic. They were highly durable. We don't really need them anymore, and they're out back, and before they start to disappear, if we can make a couple dollars on them, we'll get rid of them.
We might not need them in the next construction project?
I don't see anything like that where we're going to need to break down an entire classroom, hopefully not.
They're on wheels, right?
No,
Oh, they're not?
picture a wooden pallet that you see on the side of the road, but these are made out of more durable plastic.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, no one? Motion passed unanimous. Next meeting is April, it's not this the 8th or the 9th?
It's a Wednesday.
No, it's a Tuesday.
Tuesday.
I think it's
The 8th. Or no, the 9th. Next meeting is April 9th on Tuesday.
9.
Anybody want anything on the next agenda?
John?
John?
Yes, I was wondering if we could get the comprehensive report on the chronic absenteeism for all of the buildings that we've been discussing. Also, I'd like to see hopefully something for our scope and services that we moved from today, if we can take another look at that item.
Thank you. Anybody else? Not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed, no one?